I'm going to try not to bore you too much with that. Then I'm going to get into the technical details and what makes up that actual robot that's underneath that tarp that you guys haven't seen yet. You'll understand the pants more when I get to the robot. So, first stands for inspiration and recognition in science and technology. It was founded by Dean Kamen, that guy on the Segway. He also invented the portable insulin pump, which is this really cool invention. If you know anyone who's diabetic, they probably have one. That guy patented that and made a killing off of it, which I think's unfortunate. But he also gives them away in.
That's a bad pun.
Yeah. Whatever. I know. Whatever. So he founded this back in 1989. First is all about bringing students and engineers together, and it's a really cool program. If you don't know about it, there's a website, usfirst.org. So, founded in 1989, it now has the first robotics competition, which was the thing I'm involved in, the first Lego League, which is for elementary school kids, and a lot of schools have that, and the first VEX Challenge, which is the VEX kits at Radio Shack, which apparently they're not selling them anymore. Somebody was talking to me about that earlier, which is true. They're not, but they're on sale at Radio Shack, and they're cheap, and if you can go buy one, they're awesome. It's pretty much the same thing I'm doing, but smaller. There are over 70,000 students worldwide involved in this program, if not more. Atlanta alone, when you get that many kids there, is insane. The competitions go there. So, I want to see PowerPoint. Come on. Anybody? No.
It's not just a wife.
So, before the season starts, the robotics season, and believe me, it's a season, before it starts, we have to fundraise. Like, there's no option. That robot cost about $10,000. The technical spending cap for what we can put into it parts-wise is about $3,500. But that excludes all the electronics and the kit of parts that go into it and all the cool, badass software we get from companies like Autodesk and things like that. Yeah, they throw the copy protection in there. I end up removing it. But nonetheless, they actually give us 10 licenses for the full Autodesk suite, which is awesome software. Inventor in particular, if you've never played with it and want to get into like 3D making, like you want to dream up some idea for whatever part you want to stick on your car, Inventor is the software for it. Don't pirate it, go buy it. Be nice, that sort of thing. So a misconception that people get when I bring this thing out is that it's some toy. It's really not. I play with it like it is, I treat it like it is. It's really not a toy, it's expensive. We have to teach new team members. It's Science and Math, the school I went to, the North Carolina School of Science and Mathematics, which is in Durham, on 9th Street, well at the very end of 9th Street.
It's not just shootings and hookers.
No, it's actually a bunch of geeky kids from all across the state of North. Yeah, and Asians. Every nationality, sex, gender, whatever you want to get it, they're all there. Believe me, it's very fairly represented. There's about 300 kids in each graduating class. There's about 600 students total there. It's an interesting place to go to school. It's a boarding school. You stay on campus. It leads for some interesting, weird things that happen. We are chaperones, so don't get the wrong idea. So we have to teach all the new team members that come in how to like hold a screwdriver and stuff. Which you wouldn't think you'd have to teach that to these kids, but my God, we had this one guy. All right, this one guy. I'll give his first name. This guy named Ryan. Ryan came in. Ryan wanted to be involved so bad, but he didn't know how to use tools. He didn't think he had anything going. He came in the same year I did. Ryan went to this teaching seminar in Virginia that we went to for FIRST, and at the teaching seminar we actually had various, you could go to these different sessions, and one of the sessions was CAD. Ryan went to the CAD thing. He learned part of Inventor, like the basics, how to make a box, how to make a sphere, like just basic stuff. Ryan came back, we put Inventor on Ryan's computer. Within 4 months, Ryan was chatting with our head engineer who works at GlaxoSmithKline, or did anyway. And my God, the kid, by the second year, by the time it got around to the end of the year, we'd all gone, Ryan, you're the god of CAD now. What are we going to do without you? What are we going to do when you leave? This kid's MIT now, so if that says anything. He knew nothing when he came in. I swear to God, nothing. There's a girl this past year, speaking of girls involved in hacking, This team has been around for 6 years. I'm the only male captain it's ever had.
Wow.
So that says something for the science and math school and for girls involved in this sort of thing. My girlfriend actually was captain this past year. She graduated.
Chick Fury.
So
It's all legal.
That's right. So after preseason, once we got through the fundraising, we got through teaching everyone, we get to the kickoff event, and I've got a little video playing. So every year in January, we get this kit of parts. We go to Virginia, because Virginia is the local pickup place for it. And we drive up there, and we get this kit of parts, which is these crates, and you'll see them later, because I've got pictures. They're like, here's the game plan. They show us this video. They show Dean Kamen ranting about students and engineering, and he goes, blah, 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 students good, blah, 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 engineering good, blah, 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 and you can pretty much, he's the worst speaker in the world if you've ever heard the man talk. Terrible. But anyway, he's a nice guy. So they're like, here's your kit, here's the game plan, you've got 6 weeks, here are the rules, and the rules read like a legal document. They're horrendous. They're like, it's the worst rule. Like, you can't use duct tape on this thing, so there's no duct tape, none. Which, I know that's hard to believe. 6 weeks, high school students, no duct tape on this? Exactly. So we can't use duct tape in any structural manner. You can use it for decoration. A lot of teams do, believe me. 6 weeks, as all of you software people know, is an actual deadline. That's insane, especially to build something like this.
Is that claymation, dude?
No. That's actually done in 3D Studio Max, which we also get a copy of with the kit of parts.
I have to commend you. I've worked for many software companies, and none of them have ever released anything usable
In 6 weeks?
in 6 weeks.
Well, they have something in common with this team. This team,
$15 million,
Sadly.
6 weeks. Not a
we don't
problem.
get $15 million.
Just let me know.
I wish we had the funding that those companies had because we could do it then. I mean, honestly. But 6 weeks to do this, we end up with all sorts of problems. You run into snags. One year we ran into this problem with the motors on the bot, and you wouldn't think like 6 weeks, plenty of time to do something. Yeah. So we ran into this problem with the motors on the robot, and where we put the transmissions together, and they used a Bosch drill motor and different motor. So they used 2 different motors that were powered at 2 different RPMs. And the deal with that is that the Bosch drill motor had a housing on it, which you could also use to further gear it down. The housing had 2 speeds, high and low. That comes back later, keep in mind. So we put this thing together, we put it in, like we've made all the parts, we've had custom aluminum machined from the machine shop at GlaxoSmithKline, since our mentor works there. He got it done for us. And once we had that done, we put it all together, we put the gears in, put everything together, and we turn it on. The first noise we hear out of this transmission is thunk, 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 thunk. And it's this like, you're sitting there, everyone's going, what was that? Because it's the worst noise in the world when you put something like that together and you hear metal grinding. Like it's thunk, thunk, and scraping, it's not a good sound. So, I spit on somebody, sorry. So anyway.
It happens all the time.
But anyway, so once we put that together, we're like, what the hell's going on? Well, as it turns out, the housings on the drill motor have been locked in low. They're supposed to be in high speed. And the student who put it together actually knew this, but the mentor's the one, the student didn't put it together. The student's the one who, he was the one who sort of like suggested they be in that speed. He knew this from the get-go. The mentor who put it together didn't know this. Silly mentors, honestly. So
Silly adults.
I know. What is it with those guys? So we get it together finally. We flip it back. It took us a week and a half to figure out that this thing was in the wrong speed. We were to the point where we're like, oh, it's the pulse width modulation cables are sending the wrong. They're getting interference from the power cables. We're getting ready to cover shit in tinfoil. And honest to God, this kid, his name's Aaron. He looks at it and goes, "It's in the wrong speed." I look at him and go, "Aaron, I love you." I give him a hug. We run down the hall screaming. It was a great moment, believe me, because we spent a week and a half on this. All right. So anyway, this is build season. This is the kit of parts and the cool toys we get. We get this camera, which is down there in that corner. See it? The camera is from Carnegie Mellon University, it's the CMU CAM. It has the ability to output like specific colors and tell you where they're at on a particular field. And it is absolutely amazing because we get that to work with the robot, and like certain teams will have it working and they'll have their bots tracking stuff, which is really cool. Over here you'll see the operator interface, which is that guy, and the programming unit, which is actually on the bot. Those two things alone are about $1,000. This ain't cheap. So in the middle you got some transmission parts, some gears, some sprockets. That guy over there is what's commonly referred to as a Victor, although that's not what it is. It's actually a speed controller. I'll get into those later. That's a Spike. I'll get into those later. Build season, 6 weeks. We have to design this thing, which means CAD, and we have to sit around and go, all right, well, what's possible? What's actually physically possible? And somebody comes up with some outlandish idea. Let's stick a vacuum cleaner on it and suck up a ball this big. Dude, we can't do that. That's against the rules. Come on. And like we have to tell people, read the rules, because if you don't read the rules, then we're going to have problems, because they literally give you a probably 90-page manual with everything in there, and probably 40 pages of that is actually devoted to what you can put in this robot and what it can do. And part of the rules are, like, you can't have it leave a 5x4x3 square. Like, you can't have it leave, it can't exit that box. Like, once it's out on the field, that means, like, if you were to put a robot out there with a big freaking balloon in it to where it can take up the entire field and block all the other robots from doing stuff, that's illegal. That won't work. The judges don't like that sort of thing. They also have to make sure, the judges of the competition, make sure there's no sharp edges on it, which you go out there, you take it to the judges, they look at it, you take a file with you, and you take zip ties, because you're going to tie down anything that's not tied down with the zip ties, and you're going to file anything that's sharp. And believe me, that's a pain. So we design it, we get to the CAD, we do some prototyping, very simple stuff, we build it. I'm going to get into that later, the technical crap. Then we test it. And by test it, I mean we don't really test it, because 6 weeks isn't enough time to build one of these things, let alone test it. Except for this past year, where we actually did testing, and we did fairly well, which was impressive. So the testing is the pain in the butt part, because we never really get to it, because somebody's always like, oh, we're going to fix this, we're going to work on this. So you can't really test it. After the 6 weeks is over, by the way, we ship it. I didn't put that in there. I don't know why. Ship date's a sad thing, because you have this big crate that you've built, and you have to put this robot, this thing you've spent God knows how many hours on. By the way, the team's generally about 15 kids. So 15 kids in this lab working 6 hours after school, after they've been through classes that are held, because that school's really hard, just to let everyone know. It's not impossible, but it's hard. You're taking advanced classes, physics, calculus, that sort of thing. But you go through all of that. You work 6 hours a day after school in this thing. You have to put it in a crate. And it's a crappy wooden crate. It's not aluminum, it's not polycarbonate, it's not anything, it's crap, it's wood. You put it in there, you put the packing foam around it, and you hope to God that it gets to the competition fine, because there are horrors of shipping stories with UPS and the other company that handles this drayage with a crate. And my God, they screw things up. Like I don't think it's a different one. They end up like putting forklifts through them. They rip the crate apart. The
hooks too.
Yeah, they love doing that.
Especially when you're right. Do not use hook on this.
Yeah.
And you go down to claim it as a hook through it. I love that.
Exactly. So you have to do all of this stuff. And like you literally you put it in this crate and you ship it off. And it's a sad day, but at the same time you're relieved, because you're going, I have 6 hours in my day that I've lost for the last 6 weeks. What the hell am I going to do with it? And you'll find these robotics kids wandering by the lab thinking, oh my God, and you can't get in because nobody's there. The teachers are going home too because they're tired of seeing us. It's been a long 6 weeks. So after the 6 weeks is over, there's 33 regionals. We typically go to 2 competitions, meaning 1 regional in the championships, or 2 regionals. So there are 33 regionals. Actually, I think there's 35 now. There's 1 in Israel. There's 1 in Japan, I believe, although I might be wrong on that. I think they were planning 1. I don't really know. It's an international thing is the point of this. Then there's the big championship event. And you really can't tell from these pictures because they don't look as impressive as they should. But this picture down here is probably the best one to describe it. they use the Georgia Dome, and they literally fill up a quarter of it with all these students who are in there, and that's the students who are actually in the competition area. There's a pit area that you're not seeing. Actually, it's over there. That's the pit area when the crates arrive. The pit area is, I don't know, in Georgia, it's 200 teams. Not all teams are 15 students. Some teams bring freaking marching bands to these things. I'm not joking. There's like spirit awards you can win. I'll get into that when I get into the pants. So they literally bring bands to these things and play. It's the most irritating noise, and they play crappy music too.
So those are real pictures. The one in the center bottom is a real picture.
Do it? Yeah.
That's from the event.
Yes.
Wow.
The one shooting the balls? Yeah.
No,
the one below.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that is. Absolutely. And then they actually banned it this past year, but the year before, in the stands in the top, they take trash bags and hang them over the seats and spell out team numbers and all sorts of other stuff.
It's like Live Aid, but with robots.
Yes. Actually, Dean Kamen has called it the Super Bowl of geeky high school sports or whatever, I don't know, something like that.
Wow, that's a catchy title.
I'm sorry, I can't quote the man. The man has like all these catchphrases he seems to pull out of his ass. And I, as much as I'm gonna bash on Dean Kamen because he's Dean Kamen, he's pretty intelligent when it comes to that sort of stuff. He's just a bad speaker.
The Super Bowl of the socially inept.
Yeah, something like that.
There you go.
You need to send him a letter. Send him a resume.
So anyway, after the season, we do more fundraising. Because I can't stress this enough, it costs money to go to these competitions. It's $5,000 a piece to go to the competitions. It's $6,000 for the kit of parts in your first competition. And believe me, you get more than $6,000 worth of crap. The software alone is $6,000. So, but we still have to raise money. So if anybody, and I mean anybody in this room, has a corporation that wants to donate money to this, and believe me, it's a good cause, I'd love to see it because we need the money bad. Anyway. So, we do more fundraising.
Wouldn't you only need the software for 1 year? Can you use a couple years?
You can, yeah. But they give you new stuff every year.
Why should you use the old stuff?
We do. But we also use the new stuff.
Wow. Still costs
Anyway.
No more questions.
You still have to pay for it. You get the kit of parts, it comes with it. It's in the kit. They're gonna give it to you regardless of whether you want it or not. You get it. Deal with it. I mean, that's how it is. I'm not gonna turn it down. 3D Studio Max, that's worth $6,000 alone, it seems. Actually, 3, I think. But regardless, that's insane. So then we go and do the dog and pony show crap. We did Take Your Kid to Work Day at Nortel. That was a load of fun.
Take your kid.
Robot?
Take your kid to work. We were there entertaining the children while they were there because Nortel sponsored us, and then they gave us more money, which was great, and I'm certainly not
Then
complaining.
they cooked the books.
Actually, this was after that.
Oh.
So, so bring your robot to work day. Joke. Now I'm gonna get into the tech stuff. And this is the stuff I like because I never get to talk about this. I never get to talk about this. I go to these stupid board meetings where I have to give these presentations to these guys in suits who don't care about this. So I'm gonna tell you, it's great. The controller for the bot, that's this guy, and actually the onboard as well. There are speed controllers and spikes, pneumatics, motors and gear ratios, machining aluminum, and of course nuts and bolts, which is actually just my links page. The controller, that's actually the onboard part. 16 digital I/O ports, 16 analog input ports, 16 PWM outputs. PWM is pulse width modulation. It works by sending signals over these little itty bitty cables. It's negative, actually it's a 0 to 5 volt signal, so 0 is actually off, where 5 volts is a different, I'm trying to explain this right. It's actually -5 to.
Well, it depends on the utility.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going for this guy. Keep that in mind. The chip on board is a PIC microchip. They are working really hard on SourceForge to port a actual honest-to-God C++ language to this, as opposed to PIC-C, which if you guys have ever used, yes, that was, I hate that language, but I'm not going to get into that. And they even give you MPLab software, which, right there, MPLab IDE, which is terrible beyond belief, especially with syntax highlighting. 10 million instructions per second, which is ridiculous and far more than we need. But I love them. It's good stuff. And believe me, some teams do use it. They throw a lot of sensors into these things. Speed controllers. They take a PW input of 0 to 255. What that means is these values get sent to them. It's exactly 1 byte. So the values get sent to it. Let's say the value is 127. You send the thing 127. Guess what it's going to do? Anybody?
Nothing.
No. Off. Nothing. Good call. So negative 12 to 12 volt output. What that means is the speed controllers are actually what regulates the speed to the motors. So you vary your motors based on that. Spikes. Spikes are used not necessarily with motors, although they can be depending on which motor it is. They output negative 12, 0, or positive 12 volts depending on how you have them hooked up. They're actually 0 or full on. They in turn take a PW input of 0 or 255. They can't do anything else. They're literally on-off switches, glorified on-off switches. You typically use them with pneumatics. Cylinders, stroke and bore. Does anybody not understand that? Taking basic physics in high school? Okay, good. PSI, we have to keep that in mind with the robot. We're actually limited at 120 for storage and 60 PSI for all the pneumatic parts. So literally the cylinders fire at 60 PSI. But if you don't think that's powerful, don't hold one up to you because believe me, it'll hurt. Trust me. We actually had one, it fired prematurely, like Al.
It never fired.
Oh, just kidding.
Old man,
Just kidding. So, just kidding now.
Mature ejaculation.
We actually had it fire. We were testing some autonomous code, and it fired into the wall and took out this big chunk of concrete. The school wasn't too happy with it, but whatever. We didn't tell them about it. One of the security guards walked by one day and went, and walked on. It was funny. The security guards know who we are. Like, they know the team really well because they're always letting us in and stuff. And it's pretty crazy. Then the compressor. The compressor is a really interesting thing. It's actually worth about $100-something. It's a pretty cool compressor. Outputs 120. So that's what we're limited to anyway. Motors and gear ratios.
Nice, Al.
So anyway. I had to do it, I'm sorry. So, with the motors. Let everybody recover from this one for a second.
He looks just like John Travolta. Oh God!
I could never do this at a corporate boardroom. Like one of these things. Never.
I think you should leave that in. That's good.
Anyone wants to know the story behind that picture? That is a real picture. I will.
Alright.
It looks so Photoshop.
So
No,
this
it is a
thing.
real
That's a real
No,
picture.
it's real. I promise.
Oh, wow.
So with motors, you have this thing called power curves, and what that is that if you power one with positive 12 volts and 0, meaning you literally give it positive 12 volts and then turn it around and give it negative 12 volts, you're going to end up with 2 different output speeds, which is wacky, but that's how electronic motors work. So with that in mind, you have to adjust for that. And thus comes in the gear sensors. The gear tooth sensors go into these guys, and the gear tooth sensors keep in, like, they literally pace out which side's doing what and then adjust, which is really cool. So, along with that, we're going to get into gear ratios. Over here you'll see a thing I stole from, shamelessly mind you, from howstuffworks.com, which is a great website. I like it. The guy in charge of it's a dick, but that's beside the point. Website's still good. So, that pretty much explains gear ratios. With gear ratios, you have a trade-off between power and speed. You can either go really fast or you can push a lot. With these competitions, it really depends on what you want to do. Maybe you want to rush back to the end zone at the very last second for the extra bonus 10 points for doing so. Or maybe you want to be out on the field playing defense and pushing everybody else around. In our case, we went with the defense. You'll see, believe me.
Is the game like every year is the same concept, or is it
No.
change that up?
No, I'm glad you actually brought that up. I should have said that earlier. The game changes from year to year, and we're not allowed to use the same bot twice, meaning any machine parts that went onto this guy we cannot reuse the next year.
How would they know?
What do you do?
They don't really, but that's the thing. You're expected not to. Yeah, you can cheat, but you're not expected. Like, they don't want you to do that. That's not in the spirit of the game.
The teams that win cheat.
Actually, that's another good point. The teams that win often have their mentors design and build the robot,
Right.
and that's a shame to me because I walk into the pits and you'll see one of these teams that has all these mentors. Yeah, well, they have all these guys, all these like old 30-year-old, 40-year-old guys working with nothing personal. I'm not bashing the age thing. And it's
30-year-olds.
as opposed to the teenagers who are supposed to be working on it. Nothing personal.
What I'm actually asking you, Nick, let's say you get your kit, your newer kit.
Yeah.
You know there's a newer part that might have a bug in it, it's defective. There's no
They
way
would-
you could use an older part.
They're
knowing it's
actually
better?
well, no. You're allowed to use like parts out of the kit because those aren't machined unless it's a motor and you've customized it. Meaning, in the case of the Bosch drill motor I was talking about earlier, it had any backdrive pins. We pull them out every year because we want them to backdrive. We don't want to have the any backdrive where somebody pushes us and it snaps.
So there are certain parts
Yes.
that can carry over?
Yes,
Okay.
but not necessarily
Just trying to
all
keep
of
up
them.
with you, dude.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm just explaining.
What
So-
do you do with all the robots that you built?
We actually disassemble them and play with them with the new students who come in
Disassemble.
because we.
No,
we-
this is.
No disassemble.
Trying to survive a lot.
Well, I hate that movie. I really. Anyway, so no, we take them apart. We'll get the new students who are coming in to play with them. This is an exception because it's a really impressive robot, and you'll see why.
So then you said a lot of those teams that win have the mentors build them, but
Yeah.
Are the competitions similar enough that you see the same design from the teams
No.
every year, and all they're doing is
No,
improving it?
actually, and that's a really cool thing. Teams do trade designs, but the games vary so much from year to year that you almost never ever see the same design. You'll see change designs and they'll modify it for the game, but it's not the same in the least. Like they really do. They keep things up to date and change things. Fads come in and out. Right now, the cool thing is to put this conveyor belting stuff that you can get from a website called McMaster-Carr, their supplier. You go to McMaster-Carr, you order this conveyor belting, you stick it on your tires. That gives a crap load of traction.
Like a tank.
Yeah, well, without the treads, just the tires. But anyway, yeah, it gives so much traction for these robots, and literally no one out there can push you around. It's insane. It really is good stuff. A lot of teams are using it now.
Isn't there also an award for the most creative
Yes,
way that you
that's
solve the problem?
that's true. With these competitions, there are so many different awards,
Right.
and there's like literally an award for just about everything. Radio Shack actually sponsors that award, which is like the Inventive Design
Right.
Award or something. Yeah, there's all those sorts of things. So the team that comes up with the coolest way to do something that nobody's ever done before and the judges haven't ever seen it before, they get an award for it, they get recognized. And actually, the most important award and the award that FIRST considers to be the best thing you can possibly do is called the Chairman's Award. And the Chairman's Award isn't for winning the competition. And by the way, you don't get prizes for winning this. You don't get a damn thing. Nothing.
Piece of crap.
Just the satisfaction of winning and a job well done.
That's it.
You don't even get a damage.
Well, actually, the cool thing is you get yeah, well, it does.
But it is
amazing.
it's
believe
kind of
me.
the bragging right. I mean,
Yeah, it's
really
really about the bragging
Yeah.
rights, and a lot of the teams who I said do really well can have their mentors build it, which I don't agree with. I think students should be working on the
Let's
robot.
take away from the
That
students,
happens to the
absolutely.
Pinewood Derby.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same thing. It's like my kid's so much better than
It's
yours.
the science
Anyway,
fair thing.
so,
my dad built one.
and by the way,
Yeah.
if any of you
My
do
parents
live
wanted to do
within the
one.
Raleigh-Durham area and aren't doing a whole lot during the week after January 1st and feel like mentoring this team, they need help bad. Project management in particular, they really need some help with that. So,
Look, I'm a bad project
I'm not-
manager. He asked me. I was like, yeah.
I'm not pressuring anybody or saying anything, but in general, if anybody really wants to help, these guys do need it.
I'm
So,
old.
Don't some of the big funders like go to the lesser teams?
Uh,
Southeast had Cisco.
actually, Southeast Raleigh is another high school in the area. Southeast Raleigh won the national competition. Literally, they won along with two other teams. Or actually, yeah, two other teams, sorry. They won the competition 2 years ago, the same year this one was there. No, I'm sorry, the year before that. They won, and They actually lost funding afterwards, but typically the teams who win end up gaining the funding, so you gain notoriety, which is very important with this because it allows you to get more money, which allows you to get parts quicker and things like that. So again, more money helps. I hate to say it, but it does. Enough looking it out.
Thank you.
So this is my particular area of expertise. After my first year with the team, we got a bunch of money from a company called Synopsis, which some of you might be familiar with, I don't know. But Synopsis gave us $5,000. That $5,000 went towards a milling machine with a PowerX feed and digital readout. And my God, I love it.
What did you do before that?
Huh?
What did you do before that?
What?
A rock, a wooden stick.
Oh, what did I do before that?
The team in general.
Oh, what did we do before that? We actually outsourced our parts to
That's what I
machine
figured.
shops and things
You
like
banged
that.
it with a rock.
Yeah, we if we had to do machining, it was a drill and like holding it and I've got like a bullet wound. Actually, it's from a drill bit that went into my leg from holding it. Bad. Don't use a vise. Take it from me. Use a vise. And another thing, wear safety glasses. That's important as well. Aluminum in the eye, not a good thing.
You're a great role model for this.
Don't do it. No. The thing is, though, I learned my lessons. That's the important thing. It happened. I wear safety glasses now because of this. I tell the kids there because I'm a mentor now, so I've graduated, obviously. I go back and I tell them, like, guys, wear safety glasses. I know this from personal experience. Do this. Don't do that. And if one of them's doing it, I'm like, stop that. Go use the vise. And I have to play parent, which I hate doing because I understand what they're doing. I did the same thing. They're in a hurry to get it done, you know.
Do you finally become the Fire Marshal Bill of robotics?
No, I don't do that.
So on average, how many of you go off to your
None.
Freshman with a milling machine. I mean,
No, none. And they're not freshmen. They're juniors and seniors. This is a 2-year high school only. And you apply, it's really elite, you get in. Anyway, so.
Really hard.
Yeah. Harder now, and I'm sorry you didn't get in. But anyway. No hard feelings. Sorry I didn't get to say that out loud. I'm too candid. I need to stop with this. Anyway, so. I'm going. What? We can edit that out, Elvin. Don't worry. We're gonna edit that out later. No one will see it. Everyone forget this happened. Where's the little memory thing from
And then you
Men in
mentioned
Black?
my name.
Anyway, so I don't remember what you were saying
Are you
anymore.
crying yet?
He's not.
Elvin, I still love you.
Elvin's fine. So we got the milling machine. I spent probably 50 hours this last year alone doing God knows what on it.
So you weren't really robot parts then?
Yeah, no. I just sort of turn the handles hoping it does something. No, actually.
Alvin, you know why he didn't get in, right?
Yeah.
Because he got somebody named Vic Vandal to write a recommendation.
What's up with that? What's up with that? No, it's actually a really competitive process now because of this. I'm going to go ahead and say this. If you go to this school, and I'm not bragging about it because I shamelessly take it, mind you, but I'm not bragging about it. So, I actually signed the thing that said decreased tuition at state when they went around. But anyway, our tuition went up. But anyway, so if you go to the school and you graduate successfully, you get free tuition to any North Carolina UNC-based school. So it's a pretty cool deal. And because of that, the competition for getting into the school, like the whole competitive thing, it went up like tenfold.
But they're not smart enough to use a vice.
A big
But it's a sorry, dude.
Hey, I never seen anybody
All
tell
right,
them to go.
I'm not saying they're not smart enough, but half of these kids, like,
Nobody
literally,
knows to use a vice.
I'm not saying he doesn't. However, some of these kids,
Got your back.
I love
some of these, anyway, so,
Yeah, let's
all right. So here are the suppliers we use. Hold on, I'm almost done. So the suppliers are 80/20 for aluminum, and in particular Bertle Camp, which 80/20 is extruded aluminum. You'll see some of it. It's badass stuff. I love it. I want to build a desk out of it, but it's ungodly expensive. Innovation First and IFI Robotics. IFI is amazing. They do some good stuff. They're the guys who own Vex now. Check them out. I'll get on the next slide. McMaster Car, which is a supplier of like everything. They're a great place to go.
Awesome catalog.
Yeah. If you can manage to get one of their actual paper catalogs, it's amazing. They're good stuff. Jameco and DigiKey, they supply electronics parts. You can get just about anything electronics-wise there. They're awesome. Check them out.
You won't be able to afford it though.
No minimum order.
That's right. It flew in. See that?
I did.
So, if you guys have questions,
Can I see
I've
the
got some
robots
websites.
graphics? Just like every man.
Alright, the robot's coming out in a second. Hold on. So, these websites, usfirst.org is the first website. Even if you don't get involved with my team, please go get involved in one of these teams if you have the time. These guys need the help. I don't care if you go get with some other team that has mentors building the robot. If you can manage to teach one kid on one of these teams at least something about, yeah, well, if you can teach them something, that's what it's about. It's about getting them involved in engineering and getting them involved with that. And in particular, I encourage female, like if you can get more female students into this because they need more. They really
Around
do.
this area, it's pretty.
Can you mentor if you're a sex offender?
In your case, we might be an exception, maybe.
Well, if you're not an engineer or whatever, if you don't know how to do it yourself,
The word school.
Do what? I'm sorry.
If I don't know how to run a lathe or something like that.
All right, if you don't know how to run a lathe, that's actually a good question. A lot of students ask that when they come to me at the beginning of the season when they did. They're like, hey, I don't know anything about it. Can I help? Yes, you can. We need people to fundraise. We need people to plan things. And believe me, planning's a bitch. Especially when you're talking about engineers. Whoever said that like managing engineers was hurting cats, they got it right. They nailed it. And students are even worse, especially cocky students who went to that school. And believe me, they're all cocky because it's annoying.
It's like hurting semi-retarded cats.
Yeah.
Explosive diarrhea.
So anyway, they're all very bright kids, but they can be overly bright at times, and it gets nasty. I was one of them once, I know. Yes, marketing, graphics, that sort of thing, all sorts of stuff.
They always do marketing.
Our website for my team is neverland.ncssm.edu/robotics.
Neverland?
Yes, not as in Michael Jackson. Don't start.
I got excited.
And another great website to check out, even if you, I don't know, if you enjoyed my talk and want to learn more, chiefdelphi.com. It's another team. They run this forum website where all the teams go. Like, that's the main forum. They're an awesome team. They used to be sponsored by Delphi before Delphi went. So, on that note,
Donkey pig stuff.
On that note, I'm going to stop with this. I'm going to bring the robot out. Did you guys have
Come on. We're done with the talking.
It doesn't say Johnny on the side, does it?
Less talking, more Johnny 5.
Gotta be shaped like a
You call my robot Johnny 5, it will get offended and kick your ass.
And it can too.
And it can.
That robot can kick my
just
queer
yelled
little
at my
ass.
kids.
And you'd like it.
Yeah,
I would actually. Is that robot a pleasure bottle?
No.
I'm not lured by flying screens.
It can be modified.
I am.
Obviously.
Yeah, really. Alright, what did I grab?
Thank you.
You already leave. Come on.
Oh, we may want to move back there, Chief.
Oh,
Sorry. You okay?
okay, water, the water.
Hey, no, bot, you're pushing it, dude.
Nice rims.
What does it transform into?
Are those spinners?
Autobot or discuss?
It's the second time.
Autobot.
You meant your robot, right?
It's an Annabot.
It's Camouflage.
But it's not a flavor bottle. Maybe it is, I don't know.
When is the bot able to like go out?
Alright, so this is the bot. I obviously can't put the arm up the entire way. I wish I could. It's approximately 11 feet high. You can get 11 feet. So, yeah, that's really tall and cool and all, but you guys want to see it go, I know.
Ooh, lights.
Oh, right out.
Alright,
So nothing more. I'm already happy.
before I power it on officially, it's going to make noise, and if it goes berserk or anything,
Move away!
run away.
Throw owl in front of it.
Run away.
Protect your
And
eyes and your
I will
crotch.
pull it, it'll be fine, everything's good, trust me. I'm doing this, I've done it before, I'm a professional.
Back off, man, he's a scientist.
Remember the deal we made about if it hurts Al and I give you the cash?
Yeah, that's alright, okay.
Especially his mouth area. Did you like that picture out?
See, it is a
I wonder where
I just got here in the back of my truck, and you guys ever see Tommy Boy? The deer comes back to life. You should see my truck now, it's destroyed. It was a mess.
Why, you pick up churros?
Your compressor is so cute.
All right.
It's so quiet.
So
It is.
the compressor kick on. I don't know if
I didn't hear it.
there it goes.
There it is.
We did something. Turn it off.
Come on, build that pressure.
I'm scared.
Press that button.
Push stop. It's perfect.
What are you doing to it?
Reboot it. What's that blue screen?
It's gotta boot up.
Why?
Should've made it hibernate.
It got jostled and transported.
Good holiday. All right, so you're gonna hear the compressor kick on. That's that noise. By the way, notice the NCS assembly on the arm. That was me on the mill. Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's great.
So I'm gonna let it build up pressure first because if it doesn't, it can do things. You're gonna hear some noises coming from it. I'm gonna try to explain them as they start happening. This gearbox was completely student designed and completely student built. No mentor touched that. I just want everyone to know because that's something I'm extremely proud of. Ryan designed it. I helped him build it. It's amazing.
Dude, is that NCS complete?
Yeah, aren't you a mentor?
Yeah. You know what? I am now. I wasn't when I built this. I helped build this. So, you'll see these guys. There's one here and there's one on the other side. They're Delrin blocks. Delrin's a material of the gods for engineers. You can do a lot with it. It cuts really easy. It's a polycarbonate. So, we used it as chain guides to keep these things from hitting stuff. The chain actually hits the gear down there. There's not much I can do about that. You're gonna hear it click. Oh well. Over on this side, there's another one. They got thrown on there as chain tensioners at the last minute. Pretty cool. So, on that note, I'll drive it.
Oh, cute.
Sweet.
It's breakdancing.
How many motors?
It's got a great turn
So-
radius.
Make it jump.
It's great. The reason the turn radius is so good is because there's a little bit of rock between the front and back wheels, and that's because the center wheel is actually mounted an eighth lower. And the reason that is because it gives us that turn radius. But the thing is, if somebody hits us, we end up on 4 wheels, meaning we still get the traction. Amazing stuff. Some teams use these things called Omni wheels, which actually look like... I wish I knew what was killing that.
Is this supposed to spark like that?
Have you seen
Where's
the
the
size?
spark?
It really is sparking in the compressor.
I can't. That's fine. The compressor's okay.
Hey, we got it in.
So, what was I saying?
Omni
wheels.
So you're not gonna fire
Omni wheels. Does anybody know what Omni wheels are? No.
They're like the sign
You know what Omni wheels are? Omni wheels are these wheels that they look like that, but they also have like side wheels that go that way. So literally, you can end up with robots with crab drive, which means they sort of like glide across the field. It's really cool looking. So we have the controller. There it goes.
There it is.
I'm gonna let that build up first, then I'm gonna operate the arm. All right. So the 3001 gear reduction on that thing is insane. It makes a ton of noise because the energy's got to go somewhere.
What was the job that this had to do?
Oh, good question. As I said, every year we get a new game. This past year it was vacuuming up balls all across the floor, and then you could either shoot them up into one goal or put them in a lower one. And by vacuum, I mean get them up any way you could. So some teams actually did use like vacuum type things. Anyways.
You need a robot for that. You're sitting now.
This year, the year this one was a game called Triple Play. The game was called Triple Play because it involved triangles and all these geometric shapes. So we had to go across the field and pick up these like trigonal pyramid things that were, I don't know, that tall. They were about 2 feet on each side. So you pick them up with this. They get caught back here so they couldn't go back any further, and then once you had them, you'd lift them up and then put it on top of another one that was much bigger. So there was a center goal in the middle of the field that was approximately 10 feet high, meaning we had to get at least 11 feet. We managed to stack 2 on that thing. We didn't even think we could get 1 when we built this. The smaller goals were approximately 6 feet high or so. You could get on top of those pretty easily. I think I'm just venting air, so yeah, I'm not building the pressure.
Is this safe to get behind it for a picture? Take a picture, Nick?
Do what?
Safe to get behind it so I can take a picture?
Put your hand over your genitals.
All right, well, I'll operate the arm. That's right.
He's a professional.
The ceiling tiles in the lab we work in actually all have holes in them. So. Alright, so something really cool. Notice how that's even and level and flat, and that guy's not. So, when I do this, that's sort of a side effect of that being the way it is. Pretty cool.
Your genitals are in the exact wrong place.
Before anybody asks, it can't lift anyone up. I'm sorry. I'd gladly give you a ride on it or whatever, but I can't do it.
Ow, hop on it. It's got handlebars. It's a love swing.
I'm not Tonto.
It's a zebra love swing. Go on.
Vietnamese spin chair.
Come on, do a reverse cowgirl.
No.
You can screw out.
I'm losing air from somewhere. I'm not really sure where. So I'm probably going to run out of battery in about 10 minutes or so. Whatever. On that note, I'm going to ask if you guys have questions, because I know people do.
Is there like limited use of the pneumatics? I mean, no hydraulic,
No hydraulics, no.
Okay.
You can't use hydraulics, and that's an important distinction.
Kind of
These are not pneumatics, or these are pneumatics, they're not hydraulics. Hydraulics
Yeah,
is
there's like
liquid.
limits, but that,
Yeah.
yeah.
We can't do that. We're limited to 60 PSI on the outputs. So.
How's this arm work here?
Do what? Yes, they're actually located right here. They're clippered storage tanks. You can get them from the clipper place. We get them for free in the kit. It's pretty cool.
How's this arm work to your left? Right in front of you.
This guy? How's it work? What do you mean?
The motor. Pneumatic thing right there, yeah.
This guy right here?
Is that a motor?
This is a motor. This is a motor with a worm gear followed by a standard gear reduction, like standard transmission. And it's actually mounted in there. There's a little tiny sprocket. The sprocket goes to 25 chain. 25 chain goes to this big sprocket with all the holes in it. That was done by the guys at the Annapolis machining shop, which is pretty cool. The
Weight
piston,
reduction?
huh?
Weight reduction?
No, we do weight reduction holes though, and that's a good point. We're limited by the amount of weight we can have. It was 130 pounds with the battery, but then it was found that the batteries actually vary from year to year in how much they weigh, which is pretty cool.
Nick, we're going for No, I want to get next to it, dude.
Oh, sorry. Whatever. The piston up here is powered so that if it falls, and we have one of those guys on there, it locks. So the locking is to keep it from falling, keeps it from back driving. Pretty cool stuff. It unlocks when we go. That's the work of the programmers. It's magical stuff. If you look inside these transmissions, you'll see the actual gear tooth counters. They're magnetic counters, so as the gears go by, they count. And they adjust the speeds on each side based on the motor.
You get a pulse train going in your controller. You get a pulse train going in your controller, and then you vary your PWMs out.
Yes. Yes, and we actually use this process called PID, which,
partial integration.
Something like that. Yeah, that's it. You got it. You can actually, a good article about that's on Wikipedia.
Pseudo integration.
These angles of these forms, these engineers.
Yes, that's actually a good question. If you look very closely, and I mean very closely, you'll notice that this guy right here, this big metal bar right here, this 3x3 aluminum, never actually touches this chassis. It's actually dispersed on this back plane. So it goes directly to that, and then it relies on those. So the reason we didn't do that is because we didn't want that back plane to end up crushed. So yes, it does.
So who mentors kind of lead students into making that?
They do, but at the same time, I mean, it's really up to the students. If the students, like, we end up having this big brainstorming session after we get the plan, and we go, all right, what can we do, what works, what doesn't?
It seems like something that might elude a student, like an engineer would say right away.
Yes, and that's what the engineer did. So,
Tell them how to do it, so you
yeah, well, sorta. He actually said we have to do this, and then of course we go, well, why? And he explains, he's like, we have to do it because of this, and he actually had us, when we did it, in order to make sure that was what happened, we stuck some aluminum spacers under there to keep it balanced, and then mounted everything.
No problem.
So, next question. You guys aren't out of questions yet, I swear, come on.
How do you turn your control into the motor turning?
There's a wireless 900 megahertz radio that goes from there to there. If somebody happens to be operating a 900 megahertz wireless phone and it kills someone, I'm not responsible. Yeah.
No, but.
And the battery has now died, I do believe.
I haven't seen this.
So I
Nick,
apologize.
stay with it for a second, so we take pictures with it.
Okay.
I've seen
Next question. Somebody's got to have one. You guys can't be out yet.
I've seen one in DC.
When
What's the blinker?
Did you guys have
when
any
are you
name for
going
it?
to build a full-size mech? We're talking 20, 30 feet.
I'm not planning on it, but I imagine somebody is eventually.
That's next year's competition.
Yeah.
How fast does it go?
Good question. How fast does it go?
How
Well,
much
that
does it
depends.
weigh?
It weighs approximately 114 pounds, and when we figured out it weighed 114 pounds, we actually had it up on the scales for weigh-in, and the judges were like, it only weighs 100 pounds.
What's it go, like
literally.
6 miles an hour?
I don't know the miles per hour, but feet per second, it's about 10. So
So it's got a calculation, like weight to
on the
thrust ratio.
movement years.
I honestly don't know, and I feel bad for not knowing
You
that.
said that's 2001 on the arm, right?
The 3001 for this part of the arm, this guy, I have no idea. It's based on this motor. This motor varies. It's actually a van door motor. If you really want to know that, you can look it up. I can find that info out for you, but I'd have to go dig through some CAD files and stuff. I apologize, I don't know that. The reason I don't know that is because I didn't really do much with those transmissions other than put them back together after someone else had taken them apart. So, one of the mentors, actually, we went to a competition in Annapolis on the Marine base there. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Naval Base, sorry. Sorry, apologize for that. The Naval Base in Annapolis, Maryland. We went there for this competition. Getting on's a bitch because it's an Army base.
Naval base.
Whatever. I'm gonna keep fucking that up because I just don't care. Whatever. So, sorry. But we went there the second day of competition. The worst thing in the world happened. These motors, the transmissions there.
That's good.
That hit the wires.
And take it. The transmissions there were dual speed shifting so that we could fly across the field if we needed to because we wanted to race back and get behind the line so we could get extra points. Or we wanted to go slower and push people.
How much contact can you have with the other robots?
That's a good question. I'll get to that in a second. Actually, I'll get to that now. Before I continue with my story about Annapolis, because the machine shop there is fucking amazing. So, how much contact can you have with other robots in the field? Not a lot. And yeah, it's like if you accidentally do it, or if you're trying to keep them out of your area by pushing them, that's okay. If you're intentionally attacking them over and over, that's not good.
If you have a giant metal robot spider that impales them,
that's not good.
That's right against that.
The
Right
wire
out.
piece filed down then, right here.
What about giant?
They are.
scorpion?
There's file downs they're gonna get. That's why there's like tape right there to keep them from.
It's a battle bot.
It's not a battle bot. There's an important distinction. Actually, first calls it a co-opetition instead of.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Thing on the end you
Oh.
can chainsaw blade or something.
Believe me, I thought about it. No. So back to my story about Annapolis real quick. Hang on, I'm gonna get back to the story because it's a cool story. So we're at Annapolis. The machine shop there is like our best friend because we've got these shifting transmissions and they can break. One of them breaks. What happens is we're out on the field, we run into another robot from all the way across the field. There's a big dent in this front bumper. That's from us slamming into another robot with roughly the same tires and the same body with different transmissions. We slammed into them full speed and then pushed them all the way back to their end zone. It was amazing because they were bragging about it because they were going, "Oh man, we're so cool. We're from Florida." Blah blah blah. Going on about their DeWalt. They're going on and on about their DeWalt drill motor housings, and it's like, dude, that's nothing. We built these, and like, wham, and we pushed them all the way back, and it was the coolest feeling ever. But bad part about that was one of the shafts inside there, a steel shaft, snapped. I have the shaft on my keyring. It keeps me as a constant reminder of keeping it to let me know that engineers do fuck up. This thing was designed. Yeah, well, the reason it fucked up
Is there a
was.
robot team in Charlotte?
Yes, I think there might be. I'm not really sure though. You'd have to check the first website. They can have all that info. If you want to know if there's a local team in your area, usfirst.org. They have a like mentors at usfirst.org address that you can email and find out info like that. They're really nice people. They respond. But anyway, it snapped. The reason it snapped was because there's a hole. We had an internal dog shifter. I'm not going to get into dog shifting unless somebody really wants me to. I'll do that later. But the internal part literally was drilled. The hole that was drilled for the internal shifter was drilled too far. So there wasn't enough meat on the gear, meaning there wasn't enough steel left in there. So when the hole was drilled, there was enough torque on this when we slammed into those guys that despite pushing them all the way back, which might not have been the smartest idea at the time, it snapped, literally just bent, like sheared off. It was, we figured, oh, we sheared a key, the gears, no, we didn't shear a key. It broke bad. So, with literally 1 day of competition left, the machine shop in Annapolis, this guy over there, we're like, oh, it's 5/8 hex shaft. Do you have any? Because we left ours back in the lab. Oops. Carry your spare parts with you. Lesson learned. So, with 1 day left, the machine shop there, our mentor who felt terrible because he designed this thing, he told the guy who machined it to drill a hole that deep, and oh well. He felt terrible, so he went over to the machine shop. They didn't have any 5/8 shaft. I didn't hear from him, and I'm like, team captain, I'm freaking worrying, like, we don't have a robot, it's not running, we've got matches, fuck. So, literally, he's over there, like, all day. He goes in the next morning, doesn't really say anything to me that night, like, comes back late, and we didn't see him. So, he goes in the next morning, and then comes back within an hour with these shafts that have been made that no longer have the internal shifter, they're all steel. But what it turns out is the guy had 7/8 hex shaft and not 5/8. The guy on a manual mill at the Annapolis machine shop literally turned this down for us, put it in a lathe, and turned it to the dimensions we needed. And on a manual mill with no DRO, I'm used to having a DRO and Power X. This guy had nothing. I don't know how he did it. I literally, when Charlie, the mentor, brought these things back to me, I went, thank you. And then, like, we had about, I don't know, 30 minutes before our next match, I had these transmission, this one over here was stripped. I sat on the floor, I got down there, Charlie was playing with it, I'm like, let me do it. I pushed Charlie out of the way. Charlie was sort of frustrated because he felt it was his fault and he needed to do it, but I put it back together in 10 minutes flat. That's insane. Charlie sent an email to one of the other mentors when we got back because he wasn't going to the next competition. Charlie's email was, there were 3 things at this competition that went right. Everything else went wrong, but among those 3 things was him and his image of me pushing him out of the way so I could fix this. So I thought that was cool. I have a copy of that email that I keep posted on my wall because it lets me know that I might have done something right at one point or another. It's a life-changing experience. It really is. I can't explain that enough. So anyway, that's pretty cool. The guy from the Annapolis machine shop came by later that day. I got to shake his hand. I love him dearly.
Can you make one that can bring me a drink?
Yeah, we can put a drink on it.
I think Shop Ramage already has that.
So, if you got another question?
Do you have to use wheels or could you use something like legs or?
You could. No team has ever done it, to my knowledge. There was one team that actually one year got this sponsorship from Sony. I think I might be wrong. They got a sponsorship, and instead of using controllers like we've got, they use these like VR glove things.
Nice.
That was and they got an award for it, but my God, their robots sucked.
And the people looked crazy.
Yeah, well, they were out there like, she was out there like driving like this and doing this like bobbing motion, so I don't know what she was doing.
They had glow sticks.
So you literally like, you see so many different things at these competitions, and what's really cool is that during that brainstorming phase, you come up with all these crazy ideas that you know will never work. You got a competition, and it's like, holy shit, we thought of that! Oh my God, we almost did that! And like we're looking at like robots.
Thank God we did it!
Yeah. Well, then you see designs. Well, then you see designs that you know you couldn't get to work, but these other teams get to work flawlessly. So it's really cool. Another question?
You had a camera in the slideshow. Was there a camera on this one?
There was, but we couldn't get it to work this year because we were too busy concentrating on this piece of shit, which I love this piece of shit, don't get me wrong, but it's still a piece of shit because it gave me a lot of headaches. This arm cost us our second competition because we were working on it the entire time because we didn't have it ready. So 6 weeks is a tight deadline. Just let me point that out again. So because of that, we didn't have the arm finished. We spent the second competition instead of we should have had this done by the first competition. But instead we had that problem, so we had to fix the transmission. We worked on the arm the entire time. We got it working, it didn't work great, but it worked. It allowed us to do really well in the last match we played in our second competition. That was the last match we played that year. So We didn't do amazing. I think we came in like 42 of 50 something, 52 maybe. I don't remember. What's really cool, by the way, is that we had this problem that I suggested to one of our teachers, and he's this crazy old eccentric guy. I love him dearly. But I suggested that since our arm, when it went up, it no longer said 900, it said 006. That's how we fixed that. If I could put it all the way up, I'd let you see that. It's great. So, next.
How do you get 2 speeds?
How do you get 2 speeds out of that? Well, obviously I can't do it now because the gears aren't in there anymore. It's a dog shifter.
Okay.
I'll wait, actually.
There's no pneumatic this way though, is
There was a pneumatic thing that mounted underneath there. So that's actually why we have the pneumatics on board. But, next question.
So that's the only pneumatic piece of the whole thing was?
No, that's pneumatic. That's got a pneumatic block, which is actually supported by a Delrin block. And the Delrin block actually has a tap in it. I don't remember the exact tap, but anyway. 517? I don't know. It's some weird tap, but the heads of these guys actually have threads on them, so we tapped that Delrin block and then put it in there. And the reason we did that was because this guy spins so fast, because it's a 3001 gear reduction ratio, that we wasted 2 pistons putting it in, and it would bend it. So we put this Delrin block there to support that, and it actually works really well.
It's far prettier than it is.